Hi there, and welcome to iParentGen.com. I'm Larissa, and I'm here today to continue our self-talk tips. So we've gone through 3 self-talk tips for kids and for athletes as well as for adults. So we want to make sure now that we've gone through a few of the tips that we also see the other side of self-talk. And one of the most dangerous sides of self-talk is negative. And although it is our very natural, fundamental resort to always talk negatively about ourselves or think, it's destructive. And it's probably the most dangerous part of our relationship with ourselves that we always have to battle. And we really want to encourage children and ourselves to veer away from that talk. And I know with the phone addiction, it is very high now. As children are on their phones 4 to 6 hours a day, and in the United States, the American Pediatric Society is saying that kids are on their phones till 8 hours a day. I don't know how that's even possible, but apparently, they must be being no dinner or going to bed super late, and parents aren't supervising. So I just can't see it, but they have that number. In Canada, they believe it's 4 to 6 hours, and parents are almost just as bad. So we know we have an issue. But with the addition of extended phone time, we are looking at a multi-layered issue of destruction. So, for instance, when I had my podcast with Dr. Nancy Collier, she wrote The Power of Off, and her whole belief and her disbelief in what's happening is that we are so connected to our phones and so connected to technology and our addiction to that dopamine and cortisol, we don't care about any other type of structure or dynamic of relationship. We want to only be at the mercy of the phone. But what happens is a very high percentage of the time you check your phone, you are checking 3 to 4 times every, I think it's 30 minutes minimum. And whenever you do check, it's usually a negative emotion, believe it or not. So we see jealousy, we see comparativism, we are sad, we feel lonely, you're frustrated, and you're angry. So it's a high percentage every time that you go and you actually check your phone that you feel bad for checking your phone. And we keep checking it. So there's a course that I have on adults, how to set up your phone to sort of work for you, work with you. And I've set my phone to block people I can't focus my time on. And I've blocked their posts or I've blocked them in a very civil, diplomatic way, but in a structured way for me that I have to. I've set my phone rings. One's for work that I can hear, one's for my children and my husband and my parents. And I know that it's very important, when you have that 1 hour or so to yourself, that you want to enjoy that hour, and I tend right now during the pandemic, we are now in the middle of November, and as you can see, it is just crazy snowing. That I woke up at that this morning. It was kind of fun though and pretty, right? So we're here in Canada, and my friend, we were just doing a podcast last night from Australia, and it was like 30 degrees, and I thought, oh, it's so great. But when we look at self-talk, the negative destruction that is caused almost 70% of the time we look at our phone, we have to say to ourselves, why are we looking at our phone? Don't pick it up as much. And if we can also alter on our children's phones or screens what they're seeing, what they're looking at. Snapchat is destructive. I've made recommendations in my book that I'm writing. I've made recommendations in my phone addiction course. What alternatives you have for Snapchat? Yes, it's happening, it's out there, but we don't need to continue it. We can also change the narrative and say, okay, you guys all want to be in a little group. Well, you're going to have to go to Snapchat, because at least we can check that dialogue on Snapchat, and we can check photos. And there's nothing much naughty going on. But as soon as we leave them to literally their own devices and we don't check them, that's when stuff happens. There's all sorts of rules around that. But when we're focusing on self-destruction and negative self-talk, there is a quick spiraling down effect that happens psychologically. We almost get into this fight or flight state, and we feel really negative, or butterflies start going, and well, what if I'm not going to look pretty in that dress? And oh, I've gained weight, and my hair, oh, and her hair was so nice in that photo, and she got a lot of likes on that, and I didn't get any likes on my last dress, so I'm really worried. Maybe I just shouldn't go to prom. And this is the catastrophizing that happens. So we need to be talking to our kids. And I have a great podcast, it's Fina Chichi, who's wonderful at connecting with parents to children, and how we can connect by listening and not talking. Actually, it's amazing. Teenagers don't want you to talk. They just want you to listen. And that's my best advice, actually, moving forward and having struggles with my own daughter, and navigating parenting styles, but teaching them to not say, I can't, I won't, I don't know how, are not language in their household. We don't talk like that. I will, I'll give it a try. Let's see how it works out. And I say that when I'm making a new recipe, or when I'm trying skiing and I haven't done skiing in a while. Oh, let's see how this goes. I'm just going to try it. And being brave and showing your kids to try things and showing them that you can do things is really productive for their development. When they see you trying things, when they see you are focusing on problem solving around a challenge, like a lot of coaches are saying kids are getting very nervous before cross-country races and races, and these young kids don't even know what butterflies are. Their parents haven't even talked to them about it. So now cross-country coaches are actually saying, it's good to have butterflies. It's actually really good. Do you know why? Because all that training and all that work and your stretching and your physio and your focus on your long-term goals is kind of making you excited because you know what you need to do. And it was amazing how it turned this negative feeling, acknowledging the emotion, acknowledging it as a feeling, but why it was there. It was more for excitement and that you're ready. You're prepared. So the children that raced, that knew about butterflies and could handle them and could talk about them with their coaches, who I spoke to a few, and the ones that really nailed the discussion and understood it, they raced better. They understood it better. They didn't get some vomit before races, which they've never really seen this high proportion vomit or get this upset and call parents to the point where they don't race. It's really becoming very destructive for our children. How do we avoid negative self-talk? Well, how you talk to yourselves, moms and dads, about your bodies and about your work and about the house, about your chores, about how we do things, they're listening. They listen to all of it. And it's interesting. Sometimes it's funny in our household. You don't think the little one's listening, but he is listening the most. And our oldest one is very, very shrewd, very observant. So she sees all and hears all. So you have to be very, very aware that you're pretty much under a microscope in your house. They're watching you and they're listening to you. And you need to be their role model, their best role model. You're their first vision of a friend, of a parent, and an authoritative figure. And how you speak to them dictates how they're going to speak to others. So, for instance, we're seeing quite a challenge now. I work for sport associations, and they want me to help with parent behavior, because parent behavior is now creating a toxic environment for athletes, specifically hockey associations. And we've had to work with educating parents about being the supportive role. They're not the coach, and they're not supposed to do anything but sort of just be that supportive person, and I give them a bunch of educational talks and sort of educational tools to follow. And as much as they plead with a coach, oh, my kid deserves ice time or my kid deserves this, what they're really doing in front of their child is being destructive and being disrespectful and showing your child to undermine your coach. And that is not something that is healthy or productive or useful at all. And these associations are really seeing that what I'm doing is changing the way parents can be involved and feel involved, but ease off at this level, and how coaches are relating to children. We're focusing on soft skills because you can always get a skilled player. You can't always get a smart cerebral player with a good support team behind them. And that's what you're looking for, right? In associations. You want the best parents. You want parents who are emotionally helping their children and being supportive of you, the coach, and staying out of it. And there's ways in which to discuss things with coaches and parents. Anyway, that can be self-destructive in and of itself. You're carrying those over to an association or to work or wherever you are. And it is duly noted that in the corporate world, the negative person is tough to have in the dynamics of your corporation, right? And there's all sorts of information I have on that, and I can help corporations with that and to deal with that. Because usually you just have to sort of find their strengths and educate them, and they find the best spot for them for their strengths, right? But negative self-talk needs to stop, and so we need to sort it out. Let's try and get rid of and substitute I can't for I'm going to try. Let's go. Let's see. I will. Oh, I'm going to give that a whirl. I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to come at this a different way. How we say those things, our kids pick up. Teachers, your students pick it up. I was in a classroom. I was supply teaching, which I do love to do. They're funny, and we do trivia games. And I said, let's roll with it. You guys want to do boys against girls? Okay, let's do it. We put a thing on the chalkboard, boys against girls, and I read the little trivia questions out. And I have to say that I just said, let's just see how this goes, because there's so many people in one class. Not this year, last year, pre-COVID. For some reason, the teacher didn't show up. I had 60 kids, almost 50 kids in one class in high school. It was fun. I'm good with it, but it was really fun. And we just said, we're going to work in teams. And they loved it. And they went home and told their parents about it, because I heard, because one of my friends was their child. And they said, they loved having you in that class. They said you rolled with a lot of what was given to you, because I was literally picked up and dumped in another class because there was an emergency. And I just said, we're going to roll with this. We're going to see how this goes. Right, guys? And then I said at the end, we're going to do trivia. And of course, they all hear about my trivia questions. But if I were to be destructive and negatively approach that situation, how would that have looked? I'm the person in a role, in the role of leader. I need to be calm, confident and make decisions. And that only comes from the way we talk and how we show them how to talk, right? Negative self-talk. Make sure you're listening to your kids. And if you're checking their phones, which we should be almost every other day, if you're seeing negative comments in there and how they're commenting on other people's things, because you want to make sure that they're being positive, and sometimes things can be interpreted as differently. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So making sure you check your kids' phones are vital for their development and their etiquette on how they use phones. But to take self-talk to the point where it can turn into anxiety, it can turn into depression, and it can cause kids to not go out anymore and want to be part of the world. So it is important that you nip it in the butt. I also have in the next tip about negative self-talk more scenarios in which we can use. So stay tuned for the next series. Thanks. Bye-bye.